Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first info session for the ACF McKnight Composer Fellowships program. Today, we will be reviewing the guidelines for this program and the application process in the slide room. But before we get into all of that, I'd like everyone from the ACF team to introduce themselves, starting with Carolina.
Hi, my name is Carolina Heredia. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a composer based in LA, and I'm the director of programs at ACF.
Hello, everyone. My name is Natalia Camargo. I am also a composer. I'm based in New York City, and I am the programs associate for the American Composers Forum.
And hi, everyone. My name is Tim Eigel. I'm also a composer based in Minneapolis. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm the artist support manager for ACF.
Great. Thanks, Tim and Carolina. I'll quickly discuss both ACF and the McKnight Foundation. ACF's mission is to support and to advocate for individuals and groups creating music today by demonstrating the vitality and the relevance of their art. We do this by empowering composers, modeling creative partnerships, and advocating for them through storytelling and connections. Working with an ecosystem of artists, programmers, presenters, teachers, founders, and audiences, we frame all of our work with a commitment to racial equity, believing in that creating a fair world for arts benefits all of us. We believe that the cultural, political, and social landscape around us shapes how we create, share, and receive art. We see art making as a profound form of expression and engagement with the world around us, not the objective experience often promoted by Western European traditions. We are interested in supporting artists who intentionally engage with this larger context in their art making, in particular those who have been historically excluded from funded opportunities. Each year, ACF partners with the McKnight Foundation to offer the ACF McKnight Composers Fellowship, which is part of the McKnight's larger Artists and Culture Bearers Fellowships. The McKnight Foundation is a Minnesota-based family foundation that advances a more just, creative, and abundant future where people and planet thrive. This was established in 1953. The McKnight Foundation is deeply committed to advancing climate solutions in the Midwest, building an equitable and inclusive Minnesota, and supporting the arts and culture in the Minnesota, neuroscience, and global food systems. The intent of the McKnight Artist Culture Bearers Fellowship is to recognize and support artists and culture bearers who are beyond emerging and have sustained experience in their area of practice. Fellows demonstrate achievement, commitment, and high-level proficiency in artistic and/or culture bearer practice that contributes to their field and impacts and benefits people in Minnesota.
Thank you, Natalia. So now we're going to dive into the program's detail. ACF will create 4 music creators based in Minnesota to support their continuing artistic practice. There are no restrictions on how each music creator uses the funds. And about the awards, ACF would award 4 fellowships of $25,000 in unrestricted funds. Funds are distributed across 4 installments. Fellows can attend an artist residency program coordinated by the Artist Communities Alliance within 2 years of the fellowship program. This year, we're offering financial support up to $3,500 to develop works in progress. You also get consultation time and resources from Springboard for the Arts and consultation time and resources from ACF. Natalia will now provide some examples of how ACF supports fellows during and beyond the program's duration.
Thank you, Carolina. As a fellow, if you let us know about your event, we can promote them on our social media channels and the website calendar. We have included past ACF awardees in several of our other events and programs, such as our Immigration, Identity, and the Arts series through NEA's Big Red. Several ACF awardees have been interviewed, reviewed, featured, or have written articles on ACF's Multimedia Hub, I Care If You Listen.
Now I'm going to mention the eligibility, which you can find that in the guidelines, and also you'll find it in the application. You have to be able to check all boxes in this list. You must have residency in Minnesota for at least 1 year prior to application and for the duration of the fellowship year. It is required that you spend at least half of the year for your program in Minnesota. You must have a social security number or tax ID, such as an ITIN. You are beyond early practice and have sustained experience in your discipline. You demonstrate achievement, commitment, and high-level proficiency in music creation practice. For former McKnight Fellows applying after the 5-year sit period, you demonstrate growth and ongoing artistry since your more recent McKnight Artist Fellowship. And you have not applied to a McKnight Artist Fellowship in any artistic discipline within the past year. And just to clarify, we have been moving this ACF McKnight program earlier for the last 2 years. And so just to clarify, you should not have any McKnight pending application while you're applying to this one. And lastly, that you have not received a McKnight Artist Fellowship within any artistic discipline in the last 5 award years. Recipients of 2020, 2021, 22, 23, and 24 McKnight Fellowships in any discipline are not eligible. And so 2019 fellows are now eligible. It's also important that you're not enrolled full-time in an academic program, and you're not staff, board, or immediate family of the McKnight Foundation or fellowship administrative partners, including ACF. About the academic eligibility item, I should clarify that low residency MFA students and PhD and DMA candidates who have completed all requirements except their dissertation are not considered full-time students, so those are eligible. You can find these descriptions in the guidelines. And now let's talk about the selection process, which is very important to provide you with this information so that you have it in mind as you're preparing your application. A review panel of 4 music creators, artists, and advocates are selected for the familiarity with diverse musical approaches, and we'll review applications and select the fellowship recipients. For us, this is a very important part of our work. We take the time and effort to ensure panelists understand the responsibility of being in that role and making decisions that are shaping our fields present. We ensure they are equipped to engage with a pool of applications from a wide range of creative practices, aesthetics, and cultural context. We did not ask them to avoid biases. We think that this is impossible for a human mind, but all the opposite. We asked them to recognize them, to acknowledge them. We nurtured conscious work by panelists as individuals and as a group, guided by detailed guidelines and scoring systems, as well as agency and flexibility in the process. Natalia will provide some more information about the process of selection and the upcoming announcement of the panelists.
Thank you. We are currently in the process of selecting the panelists for this year's McKnight programs. Once we have the confirmation of all the 4 panelists, we will share their names publicly on ACF's website and social media channels. As part of ACF's process in selecting artists to serve on our panels, we make sure that they, again, align with ACF's values, are diverse in identities, geographical location, musical aesthetics, and musical approaches or practices, are open-minded and can consider other perspectives, have the capacity to acknowledge their biases, and have the ability to step out of themselves and see things for what they are. There's also a pre-screening done by the ACF staff as part of the review process, and we will notify you of any issues with your applications and allow you to resubmit your application if it's necessary. So it is to your benefit if you get your application early. We cannot guarantee that we can give applicants who submit close to the deadline this opportunity due to time constraints.
Thank you, Natalia. So after ACF staff review applications for eligibility and completeness, we'll do our best to get in touch with you if there's something incomplete or there's lack of clarity on anything. We'll also review your eligibility items and make sure that everything matches what the program is meant for. And then after that, we have these 2 main phases. The first phase is independent review. And so panelists will review all applications and score them based on the 6 evaluation criteria that we'll share later. It is important that you know that at this phase, panelists would only listen to up to 5 minutes of your work sample 1. And so it's important information. You want to put your strongest work there. About 50% of the applications will be passed on to the next phase. And this is based on combined scores and also a review that the panelists do of the list before doing that first round of filtering. We're then passing on to phase 2, and here's where the panelists are coming together and looking at the applications together, having conversations, and here's when they start making comparative judgments about each applicant. This second phase has 2 rounds. The first round, with this about 50% of the applications. After those conversations, panelists will adjust scores based on the key evaluation criteria as needed, and will select 10 to 15 applications to proceed to the second round of the phase 2. Have in mind that in this second phase, round 1, the panelists may revisit work sample 1, this time collectively. If you wish for the panelists to listen to different sections of the same work, that's also possible. And Natalia will talk more about that when we get to the slide room section. Again, once you are in phase 2, panelists will move forward with the other samples. And so they will listen to up to 10 minutes of work sample 2. And if you have a work sample 3 as well. The second round of the second phase is then with this very small pool of applicants. And at this point, the panelists will provide an overall score and select the 4 awardees, alternates, and honorable mentions. At this point, panelists will revisit all work samples as needed. I wanted to mention that previous panelists include Pascal Leboeuf, Mari Prescott, Jay Hernandez, Andrea Reynolds, Maria Chavez, Texu Kim, Inti Figues Bisueta, Matthew Evan Taylor, Forrest Graham, etc. We try to be, every year we try to select panelists that are coming from different backgrounds, so you'll never find a similar combination, hopefully, and you won't always find representation of your specific area or creative practice, but just know that we're always working on renewing those expertises. And the ACF staff members who oversee the McKnight Fellowship program do not contribute to the decision-making process or the selection of the McKnight Composer Fellows. The staff role is to provide clarity for the review process and ensure that the panelists' review and discussions proceed according to the program guidelines. And this is why we're available for you if you want to show us specific or ask specific questions about your applications, because we're not part of the actual voting. So now I mentioned before, and again, this is another very important part, I think, for the applicants to understand and to have it next to you as you're putting together your application, because these are the specific points that the panelists are scoring. So you should make sure that all of these are addressed throughout your application, through your work sample, through your artist statement, and all the parts of the application. So there are like 2 main sections. The number 1 is artistic craft. So they're going to be scoring a strong sense of the creator's voice, technical proficiency necessary to achieve the desired results, and the quality of the work samples. And then the second section, and they're going to be assessing the beyond early practice requirement from the McKnight Foundation. And we have divided it in these 3 main points: a significant body of work, creative achievement, and a sustained contribution to their artistic field and Minnesota's arts ecosystem. The panelists will be scoring these specific aspects of the application. So although other aspects may come up in conversations, especially if your application moves forward to further stages of the process, panelists will be assigning scores of 1, 4, and 10 only, and are asked to provide comments that accompany those scores to add context. It is important to remark that part of the panelist training process consists of finding agreement on their own definitions for some of these criteria. So exploring their own preconceptions and shaping the details of the criteria that will be used for review and scoring of this program's application. And Natalia will now walk us through the actual application and provide with diverse examples that will give you an idea of the flexibility you have to express yourself and present your art and your project. Here in this slide, you have the main components of the applications. Now we're going to see them, how they look in the actual slide room application.
Okay, so I will be walking us through the whole process. So first we have to go to American Composers slideroom.com. So you select the desired program. If you do not already have the SlideRoom account, you're gonna have to create an account. The first page is for your personal information. So this includes your name, the address, and the email address. You're gonna attach your website or SoundCloud, Bandcamp, or Facebook, or any website that is more relevant to you. The next page confirms the eligibility based on the criteria that we already mentioned. If you have received a past McKnight Fellowship, you're required to specify these. Okay, let's see a little bit some of the questions. And then for this eligibility, you're gonna have to check again all of these boxes. If you're not able to check all of the boxes, then you're not eligible. So it's really important that you read really well this part. On the next page, we're gonna have the work samples. So there are two sets of work samples in the application process. The work sample number 1, you should upload 1 or 2 excerpts from your work, totaling no more than 5 minutes. You're gonna have this link here to provide the web link of the work sample. In this case, I uploaded this YouTube just as a sample to show you. It's important here that you check all of the possible links that you can use and that you make sure that these remains accessible and unchanged until February 1st. Okay, so you'll have also a description here of the queue start and the end time from, for example, 3:38 to 8:22. It's gonna be 5 minutes. And I added here as an example another section of the same sample queue. Optionally, you may also instruct the panelists to listen to those 5 minutes. Here, it's gonna be only for PDF. If it's larger files or additional materials, you have the option of uploading a web link, which I'm gonna show you in the work sample number 2. Title, duration, and then year of completion, ensemble performer's name, instrumentation if it's applicable, and the brief description. It's important that you refer here to your artistic statement and talk a little bit about what's the relationship. Okay, so moving on, for the process for work sample number 2 is a little bit different. You're gonna have here 10 minutes long work sample. Alternatively, you can submit a shorter work sample and use work sample number 3 to reach the total of 10 minutes. For this one, I attach a Spotify link as a sample and a Google Drive folder with multiple files. I added here the total of 10 minutes. So in this, you don't have to, for example, use sample number 3. If you don't want to, you can just use the full 10 minutes for this one. Notice that instead of the PDF, this is an example, an application that doesn't have a specific score. So you can attach here any additional materials. This is one example where I attach an example of a questionnaire, maybe a schedule, any responses, any additional information that you want to share. And here, then you'll have the section for work sample 3. This is completely optional. Again, you may want to submit 2 distinct work samples instead of what I was showing you here. You could, for example, put 5 minutes here of this specific example, and then on number 3 you can attach another extract or another example and then put the queue times of another 5 minutes to complete the 10 minutes. The next page, we have the artistic statements, insights into the artistic experiences, and the list of works. So for this artistic statement, you can either write or have a video link or both, if that's what you prefer. It must be less than 4,000 characters, which is about 600 words. And if it's a video, it should be around 6 minutes or less. Again, insights into your artistic experience. It would be desirable that you relate it to the work samples and specifically what you want to do with this application. And then the complete work list is gonna be advisable that you put the work list for specifically your works as a creator or as a composer that are gonna be related to the application. So if you are, for example, a performer too, maybe just use all of your composition or creators work lists.
So Natalia is making emphasis on how important it is to use all of the parts of your application to support your artist statement, and that's definitely the case here with the insights into your artist experience. I just wanted to say, like, obviously there is like limitation on how much time the partners have to review its application, particularly in the first phase. So I would say, like, if you're doing a video, you can include perhaps like a script, a of what you're saying in the video. That's always helpful and appreciated by the panelists. But I wouldn't do both, because that's going to go beyond the extent of how much the panelists can spend on that. And again, because this is a fellowship and this is unrestricted funds, this whole application is about expressing yourself as an artist and expressing how you're relating to your community in Minnesota in particular, but you don't have to make a case for how you're going to make use of those funds. Yeah, I just wanted to provide more clarity on that one.
Okay, so moving on to the next page, we're gonna have some questions. If you were assisting the information sessions that are the ones that we are having right now, social media handles, Instagram, Facebook, any other, how did you find out about this opportunity, and the acknowledgement of the McKnight Artist and Culture Bearers Fellowship community values. You're gonna attest that you have reviewed the guidelines, and then that you have completed the application, and that the materials that you submitted are yours. And then the final page is gonna be this demographic form. ACF collects demographic information in order to get a sense of what communities we are reaching and whether we are meeting our equity goals, as well as to provide funders with information they request. You have three options here. You may share your demographic information, saying, yes, I want the curators to have access, or you will fill out the anonymous Google form, which is right here, by saying, no, I don't want the curators to have access, so we're gonna have this option here. But you can also do neither of those things. Opting out of providing this information will not negatively affect your application, but it is, of course, useful for us in many ways. It's completely up to you. And these are gonna be also the choices. The anonymous one, you just have to click the link and we can go into the form. This is how it's gonna look like. And it's not gonna require you to put any names or any emails. And then this is gonna be the last part. You're gonna click here to check that your information is correct, that everything is working. Make sure that you check the links. It's really important that everything is accessible for the panelists. Also, all of the audios and then all of the drives. When you finish checking that, you can close and submit the application. Okay, so moving on to the notification, the panelist decision will be announced in January 2025 on I Care If You Listen, ACF's websites, and the social media channels. Before the announcement, ACF staff will notify all applicants on the results of their applications via email. In these emails, we will also give you information on how to book the 15-minute feedback sessions on your applications, where we will give you information on the comments that the panelists may have had during the review process. This will be done through a Google Calendar appointment page. Some additional information. There's the deadline, which is October 29, 2024 at 11:59 p.m., which is on the website and on the guidelines. If you start your application before this deadline, you will have a 24-hour grace period to submit your application. If you do use this grace period, you must submit your application before October 30th, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. After this, we will not accept any applications, no exceptions. That one-on-one consultation, please email me at ncamargo@composersforum.org. I can schedule a 30-minute appointment with an ACF staff member if you need that. We will upload the recording of this session that we had today as soon as it's ready. And we will also have the presentation available as a PDF through your reference. Both of these will be accessible on ACF's website.
And so now we'll love to hear from you, love to hear what you found useful. And if you still have any questions,